גבר ורשל והייתי
Okay, here
חש
we
לו,
go.
מה הייתי חש לו, קח אותי על הגמל. I'm your beauty, you're my beast. Welcome to the Middle East. תל אביב, יא חביבי תל אביב, תסתכל כמה לירדי מסביב. עושים לי היי היי, בלילה וואי וואי, וסחטן על תל אביב. תל אביב, יא חביבי תל אביב, תסתכל כמה לירדי מסביב. עושים לי היי היי, בלילה וואי וואי, וסחטן על תל אביב. זורחת שמש בעיר הלבנה, ולא רוצים בו מבט מכל פינה. והיא יודעת, מה היא יודעת, הוא יברח לה עוד שנייה. I'm your beauty, you're my beast. Welcome to the Middle East. תל אביב, יא חביבי תל אביב, תסתכל כמה לירדי מסביב. עושים לי היי היי, בלילה וואי וואי, וסחטן על תל אביב. תל אביב, יא חביבי תל אביב, תסתכל כמה לירדי מסביב. עושים לי היי היי, בלילה וואי וואי, וסחטן על תל אביב. עולה לי, עולה לי, עולה ולא יורד לי. 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 ולא יורד לי, ולא יורד לי. ולא יורד לי. תל אביב, יא חביבי תל אביב, תסתכל כמה לירדי מסביב. עושים לי
Let's not be most. No, but say right on it.
תל אביב, יא חביבי תל אביב, תסתכל כמה לירדי מסביב. עושים לי היי היי, בלילה וואי וואי, וסחטן על תל אביב.
Okay, Auntie. Welcome. Hello and welcome to Israeli Fun with Lainey and Yair. Just a note to know that I know Lainey since she was 3. So I am so proud. For those that don't know me, my name is Eti Shire and I'm the Hebrew teacher at Rockwell Academy. I am so excited to welcome you to our program this evening. You will be baking alongside Lainey and Yair, who just moved back from Israel. We're so lucky to have them. They will be teaching you how to bake a delicious Israeli dessert that we hope you will enjoy. If you have any questions during the program, please enter them in the chat and someone will respond. After we are done baking, please stay on Zoom for Israeli dancing with Edith Moss and myself. Edith has been leading Israeli dance in our community for many, many years. She's truly the best. She's amazing and you will have so much fun. Lainey and Yair, take it away. I'm sure it will be delicious.
Indeed, it should be delicious. You can't go wrong with babka. Thank you so much for your beautiful introduction. We're very excited to be here as well.
Indeed. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our new kitchen. We're hosting you now for the first time.
Still semi-makeshift.
Well, makeshift, but after all the demos that we've done for you, this is the first time that we're doing it in our new house in Cincinnati. So we'd like to welcome you. And no better way to welcome than to do it with food. So, is everybody ready? Yeah, thumbs up. Who's baking along? All right, see. Okay, all right, kiddies. I hope you got everything ready. At least what needs to be. So let's just go over the equipment first. That I can tell you what it is that I have, and hopefully you also have. If not, there are alternatives. So I guess the number one tool, probably the most important, or should I say most important to me because I love it, is a kitchen scale. Baking nowadays is all done with by weight instead of by volume. So kitchen scale is very fun. If you don't have one, you're going to be using teaspoons and measuring spoons and measuring cups. Exactly, that's what we're going to be using. So all that fun stuff. We're going to be making our babka in this molding tin over here. The dimensions that I gave were 4 by 8 inches. We'll get into that later when it comes to measuring. Next is the stand-up kitchen mixer. This is how we're going to be mixing our dough. If you don't have it, you can also do it with an electric hand mixer and just use the dough hooks, or you can knead it by hand. That's a lot more fun. It's a little bit messier, but more mess, more fun. Anything else I'm missing for equipment? We've got a rolling pin. We've got a knife. We've got a spatula, one of my favorite tools, a measuring tape. So all that fun stuff. Our bowls are up and ready. We've got our oven, and I think we can begin with that. Yeah?
And again, if anyone has any questions, feel free to put them in the chat, or I don't know how it's working if you're able to unmute yourself and just pop a question out. We definitely want to hear from you guys.
Exactly. I think our hostess is welcome to chime in at any point if they want to let us know. Great, perfect.
So we'll start with the oven.
Let's begin, indeed. First, let's prep our oven. So, chef, can you please get the oven prepped? We're going to be setting it to 350 because one of the more important things, it is such a bummer to have your babka ready or anything else for that matter, and you're waiting on the oven to heat. And temperature is very important. So we're going to preheat it to 350 degrees. It might take some time, I don't know, but definitely it should be ready before we put it in. Okay, now the first thing that I want to do with you guys is make a kind of sponge. It's basically a pre-dough to the dough, and we're going to do it in order to pre-activate our yeast, so that the yeast and fermentation there can kind of get working and get our dough to rise a little faster. We're taking a multi-day dough and babka recipe with you guys, and we're putting it into 1 hour. So
which we love doing.
Everything in an hour. This is so great. So,
but it'll still come out delicious, we promise.
Oh, 100%. Without a doubt, everything we make is going to be delicious. And if it's not delicious, then we welcome you to our home, and you can have our deliciousness over here. Okay. So we have our 1 teaspoon of rice, lukewarm water, right? That we have in a little pitcher, and I'm doing 65 grams.
Just about a third of a cup.
Exactly. If you guys are doing cups, it's a third of a cup. So we'll pour that into the kitchen scale. Go, 40, 50, 65, exactly. Leave your water over here, just like as we're gonna, because as it's mixing, we wanna be on top of the consistency of it. If it's too dry or too wet, so we're gonna leave the water over here. All right, let's tear it out. What do we got next?
We got our half a teaspoon of vanilla.
Half a teaspoon of vanilla. This isn't really done in weight because it'll just be too small of an amount. Okay, so vanilla extract for flavor, a little bit of acidity to it.
And half a teaspoon of sugar.
Alrighty, sugar right over here. This is all of our sugar, I just put it in one. So it's a sugar for now and a sugar for later, but that's a quarter.
We're just putting a little in now to help the yeast activate, so it's nice and fluffy for our babka.
Want the yeast to feed on something. And last but not least, we have our flour. And over here, I need 45 grams, which is
a fourth of a cup.
A fourth of a cup. Okay.
Or just a little flour in the beginning.
Exactly.
I know everything was pre-measured out for you, So we need a little flour now and a little flour later. So you can take from your flour and put 1/4 cup of it in now.
Okay? And by doing all this, so we have our water, yeast, sugar, vanilla, flour, and that is basically our sponge. So carefully mix this together, or should I say gently, instead. I'm going to kill off the bacteria. I'm using my spatula just to mix this gooiness together and get it all ready. Not so just yet, but hey, this is the fun part. Up to here, are we good? Is everyone good? Are we on the sponge stage?
Everyone's with us? Yes, loving the thumbs ups. Perfect.
Okay, good. So once you have that mixed, right, shouldn't be too lumpy. This is the best way to mix everything together. Okay.
As you can see, we'll be doing everything with the spatula.
Yeah, pretty much everything. My favorite tools. Be leaving that guy over there for the time being. And this is just to get our yeast activated because we want to kind of speed up the process. We want that yeast, the bacteria there to work and get our dough a little bit of a rise, right? It's not a challah here. We're not doing double rising and punching it down. So it's just a sponge. Next is going to be the shmata, and we're going to sponge it Israeli style. Where's the mop? No? Nothing? No sponge it? Okay, no sponge it. Never mind.
Israeli humor. Yeah, great. Okay, let's melt our butter.
Exactly. Okay, so while this is sitting over here, we're just going to prep the rest of our ingredients. So what you should have on your table, island, counter, we've got the rest of our flour, sugar, butter, which unless it's melted already, which I don't know who would have melted it before, but we're going to melt this in a second. It should be 65 grams of butter, but we have that, the eggs, nutmeg, and salt, right? And then our fillings for later, but we're going to leave that for later. Thank you very much. So butter it's much easier if you melt it down to a liquid consistency. This goes for most recipes. At least get it room temperature or warmed up. So butter is really one of the things you want to take out of your fridge in advance, right? It's if you're making a cookie recipe or anything like that, because you need to let that butter, the fats of the butter, to work in with the dough and everything else so that they can bind properly. So this is definitely not room temperature. So we're actually going to defrost it. So either in your microwave or very carefully, I just say in the microwave. I'm not doing anything fancy today. Even on a defrost level, we're going to go like on a half power because you don't want to burn it. You have to be very careful. So that's one thing we're going to be placing.
And that's half a stick of butter. If you prefer making your babka para, feel free to use any plant-based butter or even oil. It comes out to about 1/4 cup of oil. Yes, if you prefer using oil. But the butter should be totally fine.
The butter will be totally fine.
And then we have our eggs.
Walnuts in there. I guess we can check them in like put it in like half power for a minute. That should be fine. Next are eggs. Now here's the killer, and this is going to separate the kids from the adults. We asked for 2 eggs, but we asked for 2 eggs, although just one is going to go in there. The other egg, what we're going to do is try separating the yolk and the white. If you didn't, that's totally fine. You can still put 2 eggs inside. That's fine. But we're going to try separating it. Now let's see if you guys can see. Let's move this guy's side over here. Can you stop the microwave, please?
Yes.
Wait, we have a quick question. Is the melted butter supposed to go into the yeast mixture?
No, melted butter is right here on the side. We're saving it for later.
Well,
Okay.
it's now, but you can put it in now, but I'm just
No.
running through the steps. But
Save it for later.
right now it's on the table. It's good.
We're letting that chill over there for now.
So the first one I'm going to practice with you to show you how I do it. There are little gadgets, little tchotchkes, pichukes in Hebrew, that you can buy from stores for food prep in order that can just take the yolk right out. But I'm going to show you how we do it just hands-on. Break the egg in 2, right? And then when you're holding it vertical, you're going to keep the yolk in there, just like that. And that's how you separate the yolk from the white. Fascinating, right?
And we have a little collection
We do
of
have a
all
collection.
of our egg yolks from all
So-
the vodkas that we've been making.
So this is one that I'm actually just going to pour this in because That was just to practice with you guys. Yeah, and now we're gonna do, here we go. We'll do the second one together again. So let's see if we manage this one as well. Crack it.
But just to clarify, 1 whole egg is going in, 2 whole eggs can also go in, the recipe is the same,
Exactly.
but only 1 we're personally taking just the yolk.
You know, that'll be 1 egg and 1 egg yolk. This is the yolk, and the rest is the white. In Hebrew, chelbon and chelbon. That kind of rhymes.
Little Hebrew Fremont's mode over
Exactly,
here.
a little Hebrew Fremont's mode. Now, you saw Lainey taking away the rest of the egg whites, and you might ask yourself, what are you going to do with all those egg whites? You can make meringues with them, ones like that. I think Lainey was thinking of making patties, like quinoa patties, something very creative. So many things can be done.
No waste, never
Exactly.
waste.
No waste. Yeah, definitely don't waste. You don't want to waste that goodness. There's always something to make with that. Maybe next cooking demonstration will be meringues or something. Or
I got a question.
We got a question.
Do you do 2 eggs or just 1 egg?
So I did 1 egg and 1 egg yolk, which is what I have over here. So
Or
what
you
we did
can
now,
do 2 eggs, or you can do 1 egg. It's very versatile.
if you got,
You might have only
if you put
gotten
in
1
2
egg.
eggs, if you put in 2 eggs, that's totally fine. You can do 2 eggs. That's totally, that's chill. We're all chill over here. But what I did earlier was I separated them because the yolk gives it, how do you say, it gives it more protein, more for the fat to bind.
Beautiful. I think
Guess
before
what
you
this
add
is?
everything,
Oh,
let's
okay.
rush our tin.
Yeah, the tin. So here is our baking mold. Now that we have our melted butter, something that we can do together. For a silicone mold, not as important, but for other ones, sometimes you struggle getting your baked good out afterwards and you don't want to cut it in the tin. So one thing you can do is take your brush and line the inside of the mold with butter.
Or oil.
Or oil,
whatever
if you have oil. Coconut oil would be the best if you have that. Love coconut oil.
But also for the babka, we've just noticed that it gives it a really nice, crunchy texture on the outside,
Oh, definitely.
which you definitely want when you're biting down into a nice
Yeah.
babka.
Exactly. You can treat yourselves. This is a dessert. You know, once we're done with shakshukas and everything, then we go on to the babka.
I hope everyone knows what a babka is. We'll get into a little more detail of what a babka is when we're shaping and making the babka, but basically super chocolatey, yummy dessert. And that's all that matters.
Yeah, chocolate, yummy, all the goodness of stuff.
Okay, now we're gonna add all the rest of our ingredients
Yeah,
to
we're
our
ready
sponge.
for our ingredients. So what do we have over here? We're going over it again. We've got flour, 270 grams, or I think 2 cups. Really said of flour.
All the flour that you guys got.
The rest of the flour, just making sure we're on the same page. We've got sugar, which is 1/4 cup or 15 grams. We have our butter, the rest of it, whatever you didn't brush. So melted butter, right, that we have. 65 grams or half a stick. This is our 1.5 eggs or 2 eggs, also totally fine if that's what you have. And over here I've got my mixture of nutmeg spice and salt. So everything, not at once, one at a time, let's do it carefully, is going to go into our sponge. Okay, so now that our yeast has been working, we get to add the rest so it can finish up the job. That's 1, and this is awesome. These bowls go one right into the other. It's amazing. So I'm just going to start from the largest to the smallest. Eggs.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Butter.
If you are doing it by hand and not with a stand-up mixer, then feel free to beat your eggs before you put them in, but either way, it's totally fine.
Everything is fine in the kitchen.
Yum.
This is our experiment. Oh, that's the
Yair, that one was bigger.
I remember that was bigger. Okay.
Ay,
Okay, that one, put that one back in. And last but not least, nutmeg and salt. There we go. That's everything.
Yum.
Okay. Now.
So we have it really easy because
We do.
we stole my parents' KitchenAid.
Thanks, Mom.
Thank you.
Borrowed without permission and with no intention of returning, I believe. Okay,
I think there was permission.
There was no permission, 100% consent. So I'm using, if you also notice, if you have one of these, the attachment that we're using is the dough hook, which looks like this. Okay, that's meant for doughs. You have a paddle, which is meant more for like batters, and you may also have a whisk, which will be for like eggs and meringues and things like that. Cream. Okay, so long as you can hear me now before I start it, because I don't know how well you can hear me later, what we're looking for is a kind of sticky dough. Okay, so you want it to feel sticky and wet. It's not going to be sticky that, you can't get it off your hands. It's a little too sticky, but that's if it's too dry, add a little bit more water, right? We still have our water over here. If it's too wet and it sticks way too much to your hands, add some flour, like we got over here. All right, everybody ready? Yes, let's go.
Again, feel free to do this by hand.
If you're doing it by hand, just, get your palm in there.
Yeah.
Knead it.
It would be a lot like how I would start with like a wooden spoon or something and then get in there with my hands and start kneading. But like we said, why not make life easier? While we're mixing, we are going to kind of get our fillings ready. So you just want to make sure that everyone has chocolate chips.
Yep.
If you're not a chocolate person, it's okay.
I'm a chocolate person.
Everyone needs a little chocolate. You
Nice
can
skull from
do cinnamon babka, peanut butter babka,
pecans,
lotus
almond,
babka,
caramel.
but we're chocolate people. And we said that nuts were optional, but we're going to be using pecans and possibly some slivered almonds because we just like the crunch in our babka. So we have all of that ready here and prepped. Should we separate our chocolate chips?
Let's do it. Let's separate that.
Okay, so you should have about 2 cups of chocolate chips. However many chocolate chips is totally fine. It's going to come out chocolatey enough, I promise. We're just going to take out about half a cup of that and put it in one of our other little bowls over here. Because what we want is we're gonna melt the chocolate chips. That's gonna be what we spread inside of our babka for our filling. But also, like we said, you kind of want that crunch of, we like nuts or the chocolate, whatever it is. So we're just gonna make sure we have about half a cup of chocolate chips on the side to sprinkle on top. So we also get that crunch of chocolate.
That's the fun part of babka.
Oh yeah. So we're gonna melt the big one and leave the little one for sprinkles. So we have that ready.
Okay, can I interject over here?
Please.
Okay, let's look at our dough, which might be the time for a dough analysis. That was the pun, analysis. I don't know if it was that funny. This is good. This is actually really good. It's light, doesn't feel too dense. It's not all that sticky. It's a little sticky, not too much.
You
So
want
I'm
water?
wondering if I will put in a tiny bit more water, but it's definitely not too dry, which is good. So I think I add a touch bit more water because I like a sticky dough. Stickier the dough, and better the babka. However, you still want to be able to work with it. So I'm going to add a tiny bit more.
How's everyone's doughs looking? Does anyone have any problems, questions?
Yeah. Now here's
Everyone looking
a
good?
Q&A sesh. All right. I
Perfect.
see someone doing it by hand, I think.
I know. I commend
That's
you.
fine.
You will have nice, strong arms by the end.
Exactly. So
I think that looks perfect.
I think so too. Okay.
All right, let's get them out of there, and then we'll continue with our fillings.
All right. Good.
Oh, go.
Very nice. All right. Let's work this guy out. Now, before we let it rise a little bit, we're doing a quick rise over here. But the next process for the dough, which now it's nice and sticky. The next process for the dough is we're just gonna, I want to say ball a little bit. What we're gonna do is we're gonna stretch those gluten strands, okay, in order to
Clear
get
you a
them.
little.
No, thank you.
Visual.
And yes, visual is always good. You want to stretch the gluten strands of the dough so that way it forms a better dough to eat. I mean, literally just that, because that's what all this flour is. So what I'm doing is with the palm of my hand, I'm just going to stretch it out and then bring it back in. I'm stretching it, I'm bringing it back to the center, and I'm kind of like rotating it as I go. Okay, so that's just for a few rounds. You're doing this for not even a minute. because we're in a time crunch over here. I want to make sure we get those babkas out. Okay? So that's what we have. So stretch those glutes and work that gluten and stretch those glutes. I'm still on my morning routine over here. And we're gonna let that. Also kind of like quick rise. So the best place to put this, I'd say, would be next to your oven, because that's probably the warmest place in the house right now. Unless you can think of a warmer place. But you take this, you may want to cover it either with a kitchen towel or we prefer not using plastic wrap, but if you haven't used that, we have these reusable beeswax papers that we use as plastic wrap, and then we can reuse again. So if you're ever looking to save on waste, and you can definitely use this. And this we're going to put next to the oven. And when time will tell, or when I will tell, we're going to put this in the freezer. Normally put it in the fridge to cool it down, but we're going to put it in the freezer. So make sure you have room in the freezer for it to chill it down. It's easier to work with this dough when it's chilled and cold. So that'll just like help us roll it out for later. So right now, it's going in a warm-ish place. We're going to put that next to the oven.
Beautiful. All right, and while our dough is resting and hopefully rising just a little, like we said before, this isn't a challah, this isn't a bread.
What do we do with the maple syrup?
Sorry, what was that?
What do we do with the maple syrup?
The maple syrup? Don't worry, we're getting to the maple syrup. Right now, we're gonna discuss toppings, and maple syrup is right there.
Give it to a Canadian, because we love maple syrup.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Canadian, by the way. If you guys didn't know, that's where my English is from. I'm not from Cincinnati, born in Canada.
Yes.
Yes.
Born in Canada, raised in Israel,
Raised in
but
Israel.
in an English household.
Mm-hmm.
So we will get to all the sweetness, I promise. But like we said before, this doesn't need any crazy rising. It's still going to come out and rise just like cookies would come out and rise without any rising, because we do have the yeast in there and the rising agent.
Yeah.
But we do want to let it sit and relax and get a little bit activated before it goes in the oven to make it extra nice and fluffy.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why now we are going to melt some chocolate, cut some nuts, and talk about maple syrup.
We can always talk about maple syrup.
Right here.
So I believe the recipe that we sent in and you guys have received called for the chocolate chips and pecans. We think it's a really good combination of the two of them. However, feel free to experiment, as Lainey said before. If you have anything in your kitchen, in your pantry, in your cabinet that you want to put in, not shoes preferably, things that are edible, then feel creative and you can put that on your babka. We'll show you how that's done. We'll tell you the time to be creative with that. So we have our chocolate chips, a total of 1.5 cups and half a cup, totaling 340 grams. And we have our pecans over here. So we're gonna wanna get these pecans down to a little, to smaller pieces. So I think in the meantime, Lainey's gonna be breaking these guys up.
Or you can chop them, or you can throw in a Ziploc bag and punch them.
Yeah.
But just gonna work here with my hands while you get yours melting chocolate.
So this chocolate we're gonna melt over here, and this we're gonna leave, and when I say this, I mean the larger amount we're gonna melt, and the smaller amount we're going to leave as chips, so that, that gives you that extra crunch inside. So just like we did with the butter, 50% power or your defrost mode, and we want to melt this very carefully, because chocolate, you wanna get it tempered. When it's already tempered, then temperature is very sensitive to temperature. So very gently, even do it like time after time again on a low temperature. You don't want it burning, you don't want to get too hot, you don't want it clumping either. So I'm putting this in the microwave at like 50% power for a minute, and we'll see if we need to go another round then.
Probably the most professional way to melt chocolate is to do it over a bain-marie, which we would put a pot on the stove, heat up water, put a glass bowl on top, and melt our chocolate in there in order to maintain an even temperature. But like we said, why not do things quick and easy when they can be done quick and easy? It's just super important to not put it in for too long and not forget about it. So that's why we're going to be going back and forth and just making sure little by little we're melting our chocolate and not burning any bit of our chocolate.
Exactement.
But it still comes out okay. You just might have a little radiation from the microwave.
None of that. No, the radiation doesn't even affect the food or us. Well, you have a lid, obviously.
And we said we'd also talk about maple syrup. So basically what we're doing with our maple syrup is the main purpose is to glaze our babka, which Yair will talk about at the end when we are putting our babka into the oven, but that's the main purpose of the maple syrup. However, I personally love to drizzle some maple syrup inside the babka to give it that extra little sweetness. So that's what we're gonna be doing with the maple syrup. So we'll come back to that when we are filling our babkas, which we will almost be doing.
So it's like double on the maple syrup or doubling down on it. That's super fun. Okay,
So feel free to add as much or as little as possible, but we'll get there when we start filling our babkas.
So my chocolate chips have not quite melted yet. In fact, not at all. So they're gonna go in for another minute. But they are warm, so we know it's working.
It's definitely working. And if you mix in between each microwave session, then you allow all the heat to redistribute and it'll start melting much easier. Don't just look inside and say, oh, they're not melted and put them back. Really try and give it a little mix like what Yair was doing in order to redistribute the temperature and make sure that they're heating up evenly.
Exactly. Very good. I am gonna go check on the dough. And now if the dough if it still feels sticky, okay, and you feel like it puffed up a tiny little bit, you can touch it to see if it started to rise.
Just put like a
Then,
finger.
just a little finger. You'll probably see it if you see it starting to bounce back, that means that we've got a good dough, and that'll be the time to stick it in the freezer. So I'm gonna go check on that now, and you should probably do the same. So dough check.
In the meantime, I'll tell you a little bit about babkas. For those that don't know what a babka is, it's basically a twisted sweet bread. I don't know if you've seen like in the bakeries where you have this like nice twist of a cake kind of. But that's basically what a babka is. It's an enriched dough, like we said, so it has rising agents, but it's not quite a bread, yet it's not quite a pastry. So it's actually a really interesting dessert.
Mix between the two.
Yeah, definitely a mix between the two. I probably would say it resembles more of a bread.
I can tell you for a fact that the first babka that I made was when I had extra challah dough.
Yes.
And we had made the challahs, and I said, we're not gonna get another challah right now. And I basically took the challah dough, rolled it up like we're about to do, and sprinkled, I think it was basically this. It was chocolate and pecans and maybe a little bit of sugar, cinnamon sugar, rolled it up, sliced it, turned it into a babka, and we had that for dessert. So.
Wait, I'm sorry, we have a question. We missed a step. Am I supposed to be putting this in the freezer now?
Yes.
So the dough, so I just did a dough check, and the dough was actually nice and ready. You'll see it's still gonna be sticky, and it may have risen a little bit, so it's gonna have some elasticity to it. If you kind of poke with your finger, you'll see it starting to like bounce back. That's great. That's the time to, you can either just stick the whole bowl in the freezer, tight on room, then wrap it in either, once again, a towel or plastic wrap, whatever you have, put that in the freezer. You want to chill it down just a bit. Thank you for the question.
Is there another question? Okay. Back to melting chocolate.
Back to melting
Oh,
chocolate.
it looks
So this
amazing.
is after, it's 2 1-minute intervals in the microwave. And this is gonna be our chocolate sauce. Look at that. Beautiful. Chocolate chips turned into chocolate galore. It's also really good, and it's really addictive. So don't eat it just yet. Save it for the babka.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
I'm already gonna start licking the spatula.
Okay. Great. So you guys can see us because I can see me. And what we're going to do now is the time to prep your counter. So everything that we're done with, which should be everything except for the filling, can all go aside.
You're gonna want a lot of space to roll out your babka because you're gonna need the dough to be super long. So when you grate it, you have all the room. that you need.
What we're going to be using now is the rolling pin. We have the rolling pin and actually the flour. So funny that I put the flour right over here. A dairy knife, right? We can use a milk knife to cut it through, unless it's not dairy for you, and then that's fine. So this we can put away. I have a measuring tape or ruler just to go over the dimensions with you guys. This can also go over here. And I think, yep, and then the fillings are all on the side.
Yep.
So actually, these guys too. Great. I can see the workspace, you can see the workspace. So this is my mold. I mentioned at the beginning that the dimensions were 4 inches by 8. So we've got 4 over here and 8 over here. Now, if your dimensions are different, the one that's most important to you really is the length over here. The length of 8 inches or whatever it is that you have is going to be the length that we're going to start rolling it out as. So the length of the tin turns to be the width of your dough, okay? And then just for thickness and the amount of dough that we have, I'm doing 8, so the same 8 that we have in the tin. I'm going to be rolling it 20 inches lengthwise. So it's going from here to here. So we want to get 8 across and 20 long. So that's where I'm going to be rolling it. Okay, so let's get our workspace ready. I'm going to get a little paper towel.
Now let's wipe this down so we don't get chunks in our babka.
And I don't want no chunks. I don't want no chunks of
Other than pecans
flour
and
maybe yeast and
chocolate.
egg and whatever wasn't mixed in with my dough. So, that.
Excuse our makeshift island right now.
Oh, yeah.
We just have some plywood here, so we're not working inside of our cabinets. But
I was worried about how I was going to make this demonstration for you guys, how we were. I said, listen, we can't do it inside. Little underneath there are basically our cabinets. We would have been baking inside our cabinets if we wouldn't have put this here. And we really wish it would have been ready for you guys because we had a butcher block island that's supposed to go on over here, which would have been perfect for rolling out. That's exactly for that. It's for making pasta, for rolling out dough, bagels, challah, babka. But unfortunately, it's not going to get here until a little bit later. So hopefully by next demonstration, I hope you guys stick with us. Not by the end of the hour. I mean, like next week, hopefully. We'll see. And so this is what we have now. This is what we have, and I think now we're ready
to get our dough.
ready for our dough.
Yeah.
Our filling.
Start
Perfect.
our filling.
So go to your
Almost
freezer
done
or
with the
fridge.
pecans.
Yeah, and let's take those out.
It probably would have been faster and easier to chop the pecans or throw them in a Ziploc bag and punch them, but this is actually quite soothing. It's very nice.
When you got 2 people working together, split the tasks.
Definitely.
Okay, ooh, good. It's cold. It's nice. That is fun. First things first, you want to work with the floured surface because we've got a sticky dough. So, flour, sprinkle.
Watch the babka tin.
Okay, you can go with that as well. No harm done. And with your rolling pin, you're going to start rolling it up. Okay. So remember, we're going to start by rotating it 90 degrees, okay, until we get our 8 inches. So the best way to start also is start from the middle and roll towards you, go back to the middle and roll out, okay? And then you can rotate. However, I believe this is already larger than 8, and this is probably just about 8. This is going to be my 8 inches. So this over here is going to be my length, my width actually. And my length, I'm going to stretch it out this way. Okay, so you still have a floured surface, that's great. If you see that the dough is sticking to the counter, just lift it up a little bit. I want to say brush it, kind of like brush flour underneath it. And then you're going to roll again. So from the middle and out, middle and back, middle and out, middle and back towards you. Okay, and then you want to stay within that 8 inches. Not super important, but still want to try to get the length right, so keep it at 8. And then again.
Yair is very methodical. Don't worry if it doesn't look as perfect square as his does, but You do want to try and keep it as close to the 8-inch mark as possible, just so it fits nicer into the tin. However, we can always squish, and vodka will still come out tasting delicious. Might not look 100%, but the taste will be there.
Definitely will be. Okay, funny story actually. Is how I keep getting a square shape. I have absolutely no idea, but I'm very good at it. And this goes back to when I'd go with my family, with my father and brothers usually, to go make matzahs before Passover. We'd make hand-rolled and baked matzahs at somebody's family. And this was done usually the week before Pesach. And everyone's, or I should say everyone's, you get odd shapes all around. But the shape that everyone was striving for was obviously circular. And mine were always coming out square. And I couldn't figure out why until I realized that I always roll it and rotate it 90 degrees. 90 degrees roll is always going to give you a square. So that's that's why I'm good with squares.
The secret is out.
Okay, so we are
getting there.
getting there. So we're still 8, and I want to go 20. So just a little bit more.
I have all of the fillings right here ready for you. We even had a little leftover peanut butter, so I made a little drizzle that we're gonna put on top. If anyone's like a peanut butter fan, I think peanut butter and chocolate, there's no better combination. So.
You are too funny.
So we have that.
Yeah, no, we definitely have that. Okay, just gonna
Looking
thin it out a little
good.
bit. Okay, don't want it to be too narrow anywhere. Okay, so that should be our dough.
Perfect. And before we start filling, this would be a perfect time to just make sure your oven has preheated. Our oven has probably been preheated for the past 10 minutes. Sorry if yours has as well. But once it gets filled and braided and in the tin, you want it straight. Just make sure that your oven is nice and ready.
I think I heard somebody interject.
Are there questions?
No? Okay.
All right, let's fill this.
Okay.
Yum! My favorite part.
So this is the best. All right, this is gonna get messy, and that's totally fine. Fine for me. Maybe your parents might not like it as much, or hopefully they're loving it. But we still have our melted chocolate, and that is gonna go all over. Down through all the sides, up and down. You can crisscross it over. You want it to fill
Go
everything.
crazy.
Exactly. Just go all out. That's what we melted the chocolate for. Boom.
Do you want them to leave just a little bit in their cup for the?
You can. I mean, you want to get all the chocolate in. You want to get more chocolate, the better. But if you have some inside, don't worry. We can always save some. We can always use it later. However, it's easiest to get out now like this. So I think one way or another, it's gonna be fine. And with your spatula, okay, you're just gonna spread it all over. Okay, you can leave a little bit on the sides if you don't want the chocolate spilling out. However, it really shouldn't. Move that aside.
I think I just need to get that little piece of chocolate for you right there.
No.
Oh no, I made a mess.
This always happens. But hey, being in the kitchen and cooking and being messy are all one and the same. Okay. So this is our chocolate filling. And this is also just one of the most pleasant parts. Oh my gosh, loving it. Loving it.
Nothing more satisfying than.
I don't want any to go to waste. I'm using the dough to wipe off my spatula.
All
Okay.
right.
And now let's fill it up. You want to put pecans on?
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
So we're gonna sprinkle the pecans and distribute them hopefully quite evenly.
Fairly even, sure.
Fairly even. Again, if you're not using pecans, feel free to do this already with your chocolate chips or whichever other nut you want to.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
You want to add peanuts would probably be really good. Oh, I just love peanut butter and chocolate.
together. Oh, this is a beautiful blend.
Wow, 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 wow.
What a dessert we are creating here. If you can't hold off for Shabbat like us, I mean, you should probably just have this tonight for dessert.
Oh, yeah.
Or
This is our
and
dessert
save
tonight.
some for tomorrow
Mom,
morning.
Dad, Jake, Taylor.
Rice. Whoever's watching.
Whoever's watching. But yum. And then, like
I believe you want that.
yes. So like I said before, let's just get all these little.
All the crumbs.
So because we melted the chocolate, at the end of the day, this chocolate is still a solid. Just because we melted it doesn't mean that it automatically becomes a liquid that will stay a liquid. It will eventually go back to its solid form.
Mm-hmm.
So something that's really nice about vodka is that it's nice and gooey and liquidy. You don't want to feel like you're biting into a chocolate bar every time you bite.
Not a dense vodka. It's supposed to be fluffy, airy, light, and
exactly. So I feel that the maple syrup helps add, which is a liquid, helps add that liquidy, gooey texture. Feel free to not add the maple syrup, it'll still come out delicious. You can also add a little bit of sugar water if you prefer, but this is a slightly healthier-ish option. There's still plenty of sugar here, so it's all good. I think we're good on the nuts.
No, we're not?
I
Okay.
think that this is
Do
plenty.
you want to put
And then I think
peanut
I'll
butter?
drizzle the peanut butter on top.
Okay, you want to do that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you had it in for a reason. I was just wondering if you want to put that in as well.
It's just a little
It's
bit, so I'll
the
drizzle. I'll
last
drizzle on top.
thing.
No, on the top.
That's going to be hard to drizzle.
Okay,
It's not
so we
really
can put it in the
form.
vodka now.
We can actually make it as a filling.
Oh, yeah,
We did last time.
perfect. Yeah, gotta use your hands a little bit.
Okay, so a little horizontal filling of babka, of peanut butter in the babka.
Wow, wow,
I mean, this is the part to be creative, right? I said everything goes but shoes.
wow.
So I guess
Everything.
that works. Okay, washing up the hands because
Yeah.
we're gonna get messy now.
We got messy. We also have a little bit of pink Himalayan rock salt, but not critical. You can use any salt, preferably a coarse salt because it brings out really, really nice flavor in chocolate. So we're just
You
gonna
might
lightly
think salt.
salt
Why
it.
would you put in salt? But salt actually is what enhances flavor. Pepper generally changes, and salt adds, it enhances, which means it makes it more stronger. So the chocolate, the peanut butter, the nuts, it really brings all that out. So salt is really something amazing to add. Not too much, of course, because it's not very healthy.
Just a little bit.
But exactly, a little bit. And what we're gonna do now, and here's the messy part.
The fun
So
part.
get clean
Fun
now and
but
get clean afterwards. We're gonna roll this guy up. Okay, so we start from our width, which was 8 inches, and we're gonna be rolling. And you just keep rolling, and everything should be staying inside. And if it doesn't, that's also okay.
If it doesn't, you just come right up to the side and
And pick up
take
whatever's been left.
it.
And you're gonna create your log over here. So this is our log. And it may split open once we cut it, but that's totally fine. So you have your log that we just rolled over here, and we
Sure,
have,
it's nice and ready.
yeah, and we have our tin. Okay, so let's do that right over there. And what we're gonna do now is we're gonna cut it lengthwise. Okay, so it's best, I think it's nice, the lip that you finished with, this lip over here that I rolled over, is where I'm gonna is where I'm gonna start. Okay, so that way you don't have like a piece of dough just hanging somewhere, it's most likely gonna fall off. So that's where I like starting. And you wanna start kind of like 1 inch off the end. You can cut the whole thing and then braid it, that's totally fine, but I think this is kind of cleaner, it avoids a little bit of a mess. So start 1 inch off the end this way. Okay, so that way the log is still intact on one side. And we're cutting now lengthwise. You want to make sure to go all the way through. And we're cutting through all those pecans and chocolate and everything we got going over there. And this middle is looking, oh my gosh, it's amazing. Oh my gosh.
If you have someone else in the kitchen with you, you might want to just put a hand right here because now that Yair is going to twist it, the babka kind of goes everywhere. So if you have a sous chef, feel free to utilize them.
I'm the sous chef, by the way. Now, let's do this quickly because it's opening up, but
Go.
we're basically going to braid it. So one's going to go under and one is going to go over,
Like a classic twist.
like the classic twist. And then we're gonna hold it on one side, hold it on the other, give it a little extra twist if you wish. And we're gonna place this inside our tin very quickly, okay? Because we don't wanna make it a mess. Make a little bit of a mess.
And I
Make
just
a
want to
babka.
give you
Babkas
guys
make a
a
mess.
quick visual of what it looks like. You see all the different layers that come into the babka. So it'll be nice and flavorful. And like I mentioned before, the maple syrup is to drizzle on top, but after it comes out of the oven. Right now, we're gonna put this into the oven like this, as it is.
Now, if you have some, a little bit of dough, I guess like some dough that isn't the exposed part, now would be the time, like Lainey was mentioning before, to kind of get the rest of your chocolate and coat it, because like it's not just
If you
supposed to
have
be,
any,
it's supposed to be inside out, the dough is inside, the chocolate is outside. But yes, if you have some. So we can just use that. Where's my brush? Here's my brush. Okay, we're just gonna brush this exposed little piece of dough that we have going on over there.
Looks beautiful.
Okay, I'm loving this.
Now we're basically gonna put our babka in the oven
This is the babka.
for 40 minutes.
Exactly.
And
Middle rack, more or less, in the middle. Get in your dairy oven. And we're done.
well, this is where we're gonna leave you, unfortunately, with the babka in the oven. And basically, our last piece of instruction for you, once the babka comes out, it should go in for 40 minutes. And when it comes out, cool for about 10 minutes. And then you're gonna take the maple syrup and glaze the top of your babka. And it's gonna give it that nice, shiny, and crunchy feeling to that, to the top of your babka.
To the dough.
And like I said, we chose maple syrup, but if you prefer using the sugar water or things like that, those are also totally fine for glazes.
Rose water. Nice
Might go a little interesting with the chocolate, but that is the last piece of instruction. The babkas freeze beautifully if you did want to save it for Shabbat or the weekend or a nice dinner party or whatever you guys have going on. However, nothing is as good as right when it comes fresh out of the oven. So highly recommend making dinner right now in these 40 minutes, having dinner and having the babka right as it cools. But thank you guys so much for joining us again for another cooking demo.
Oh, look, wait, 40 minutes have passed.
Oh, wait,
The babka's
you're right.
ready.
We have a babka ready to
Babka's
show you.
already. This is what we just made. Oh my gosh. Time just flies, guys. Our babka is ready. Is yours? Is 40 minutes
Oh,
up?
yours
No?
isn't ready.
Trick. We actually have a super, what are they called? Superhero oven. It just like, keeps it, gets it ready like that. That'd be my superpower.
But we wanted to show you what a finished product looks like.
And
Oh, it's closer to the screen so we can see it.
We're gonna glaze it and then we'll bring it to you.
Whoops.
We haven't glazed it yet.
Oh, okay.
We're doing the glazing with you.
So yes, you were asking.
We are here waiting.
Sorry?
We're here waiting.
Oh, we're here waiting. So here is the finished product. This is our babka. And we're going to show you more or less what it is to glaze. Right? It's still a little warm, I think, from before. Take maple syrup and have it in a little glass. Okay. And very simply, you want the dough, you want the top parts of your babka to just soak it up. So you're kind of like what you do with a challah before, with an egg wash before you put it in the oven, right, to make it shiny on top. However, trick, this guy is going after, once the babka is already out. So it's soaking up that flavor, soaking up the maple syrup, and it's gonna make it even gooier and stickier, and so nice on top.
Yum.
And unfortunately, pouring doesn't work, because if you just like pour it on top, then it's just gonna drizzle all over and down. So you kind of need to brush it. And
now we will show you our
Yes.
finished product.
this is the babka.
Want to take it to the screen?
How did you do that?
We work really fast.
Really, really fast. Bam, this is a chocolate pecan babka, just for you guys.
Yum.
Okay, so if you did the steps, right, and followed the recipe, this is what we were making with you. If you guys have any questions, if something didn't work out, if you want us to repeat a couple of steps for you, or if something wasn't clear, that's what we're here for. And remember, it may not be the first try, but now you have the method, you have the ingredients, you can try again and again, and you can experiment, and you can.
This is not our first time making babka.
Exactly.
So.
We even the professional master baker chefs over here also need a couple of practice trials. So that was our babka cooking demonstration with you guys.
And thank you again so much for joining us. And like Etty said at the beginning, we have newly moved back to Cincinnati. We've been living in Israel and have aspirations of opening a cafe here in Cincinnati with all of our baked goods and lots of fun Israeli recipes. So we really hope that you will stay tuned for that as well.
So look out for Cafe Alma.
That's the goal. Stay tuned.
Not Muffin Boutique. If you're in Israel, go to Muffin Boutique. This is.
Thank you.
Hey, thank you, Lainey and Yair. Toda rabba.
And Chag Atzmaut Sameach.
And thank you, JCC, for the opportunity of having us celebrate with you, Yom Tov.
And thank you for everyone for joining us. I hope you guys gonna stay for dancing. Yair and Lainey, are you staying to dance with us?
Of course, we have 40 minutes that our babka's in the oven.
And if you took pictures, please post them in social media. We'll love to see any of pictures of you guys making the babka and let us know how the babka came out. And toda rabba. And we are ready to dance here with Idit Moss.
Hi, everyone. So I saw that Lior is here, and Danielle, and Harper, and Bastian. And who else is here? Harper. So we are good. Oh, and the Phillips kids are here too. That's awesome. We're so excited. We're going to start with Noladeti La Shalom. It's a song that says, I was born for peace. I was born to for peace. Yep. Music. Okay. So we're gonna just share and share this screen. One second. That's not what I want. Yeah, this is what I want. Okay. You guys, everybody ready? Mukhanim? Okay, you can unmute yourself now so we can hear your voices.
Hello.
Here you go. I want to hear some voices.
Yay.
No, we're going to start with Noladeti La Shalom. And let me show you how it goes, okay? Let me show you
I'm so loud.
Too loud? Then turn it down. If it's too loud at your house, then turn it down. Okay, so I'm going to walk back so you can see Mrs. Shire and myself. Okay, so it starts like this. You start like 4 kind of like punches to the left and 4 to the right. 1, 2, 3, and 4, and 4 kicks, kick, kick, kick. Wait,
I want to follow your moves.
2 and 4 and kick, kick, and then we go all the way like a clock. And then we're gonna skip forward and skip back and go all the way around. Are we ready, friends?
Yes.
Oh, I hear Leo. Who else am I hearing there? Are we ready?
Yes.
Okay, Harper, are you ready?
Yes.
Awesome. gonna start from the beginning. Hold on. Okay. Hold on. I don't know how I just jumped to that. Going to all those dances here. Wait. Here we go. Bastian, are you ready? Okay.
אני נולדתי אל המנגינות ואל השירים של כל המדינות. נולדתי ללשון וגם למקום, למעט להמון שיושיט יד לשלום. אני נולדתי לשלום שרק יגיע, אני נולדתי לשלום שרק יבוא, אני נולדתי לשלום שרק יופיע, אני רוצה להיות בו. אני נולדתי לשלום שרק יגיע, אני נולדתי לשלום שרק יבוא, אני נולדתי לשלום שרק יופיע, אני רוצה להיות בו. נולדתי לאומה ולשנים אלפיים, שמורה לאדמה ולחלקת שמיים, והיא רואה צופה. הנה עולה היום והשעה יפה, זוהי שעת שלום. אני נולדתי לשלום שרק יגיע, אני נולדתי לשלום שרק יבוא, אני נולדתי לשלום שרק יופיע, אני רוצה להיות כבר בו. אני נולדתי לשלום שרק יגיע, אני נולדתי לשלום שרק יבוא, אני נולדתי לשלום שרק יופיע, אני רוצה להיות כבר בו. אני נולדתי לשלום שרק יגיע, אני נולדתי לשלום שרק יבוא, אני נולדתי לשלום שרק יופיע, אני רוצה להיות כבר בו.
Oh, did you have fun? I'm not hearing anyone. Did you have fun?
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, let's do, which one should we do, Mrs. Shire? Let's do Toda.
אני רוצה לראות את
Let's do Toda song. Toda is fun, and then we have the Kachol Velavan song for you. So Toda goes like this. Toda means thank you, right? So we go like this. It's kind of like the Macarena, if you know the Macarena. You do 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way around. 1, 2, 3, 4, all the way around. Oh, okay, and then we go to the right. 1, 2, 3, and 4 on the side. 2, 3, and 4, and I think we go all the way around. I kind of forget. We'll do it with the music and see how it goes. Are you ready, my friends? Are you ready? All right. Nice to hear your voices. Yeah, thank you.
Ready? Let's go, girl. Here we go.
תודה על מה שלי נתת, על האור עיניים, חבר או שניים, על מה שיש לי בעולם, על שיר קולח ולב סולח, שבזכותם אני קיים. תודה על כל מה שבראת, תודה על מה שלי נתת, על צחוק של ילד ושמי התכלת, על אדמה ובית חם, פינה לשבת, אישה אוהבת שבזכותה אני קיים. תודה על כל מה שבראת, תודה על מה שלי נתת, על יום של אושר, תמימות ויושר, על יום עצוב שנעלם, שורות 2000 וכפיים שבזכותם אני קיים.
I'm watching you play. Come on, Leo, we're gonna go. Let's go Harvard. Okay, last time.
תודה על כל מה שבראת, תודה על מה שלי נתת, על צחוק של ילד ושמי התכלת, על אדמה ובית חם, פינה לשבת ואישה אוהבת שבזכותה אני קיים. תודה על כל מה שבראת, תודה על מה שלי נתת, על אור עיניים, חבר או שניים, על מה שיש לי בעולם, על שיר קולח ולסולח, שבזכותם אני קיים.
We have something special for you now. Ben Shire is coming.
Oh.
So it's Israel's Independence Day, right? Yom HaAtzmaut. And we're talking that, what are the colors of Israel?
כחול ולבן.
Kachol vela.
לבן.
So look at what Mr. Shire is holding there. Kachol vela van. And we have a fun song with the colors. Kachol velavan. Are you ready for that? And look, and we even have like funny kova for Israel. Kachol velavan.
I hope nobody is recording this.
No, Deborah, you have to take a picture of that. Okay. All right. Kachol velavan, starring Mrs. Shire. Here we go. Oh, okay.
So Kachol Velevan goes this way. It starts very slow, side to side, right? And then it will be Kachol Velevan, Kachol Velevan. Then you turn and you start again. Okay, now we're gonna do it twice. Okay.
All right, here we go, guys. Here we go, my friends. Kachol velavan, blue and white.
Sorry, I'm really into it.
You hear it?
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
הצבע שלי,
הצבע שלי,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
הדגל שלי,
הדגל
little faster, okay?
כחול ולבן.
No, זה לא. Okay, זה לא. Okay, everybody, let's hear you singing. I think you got it, כחול ולבן.
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
הצבע שלי,
הצבע שלי,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
הדגל שלי,
הדגל שלי,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן, הדגל שלי ושל כל יהודי. כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
הצבע שלי,
הצבע שלי,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
הדגל שלי,
הדגל שלי,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
כחול ולבן,
הדגל שלי ושל כל יהודי.
יופי, ילדים.
Okay, good job, everyone. And I think we're going to finish up with one more dance. Okay. All right, so we can do salam. Are the Phillips kids not here now? Not here now. Or of love to die.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Od love to die is very common for Israeli dancing. We usually do it with in the circle, but we're not gonna do it in the circle now. We're gonna do it in a straight line.
Can we do Shalom?
Oseh Shalom. Which one?
The one in Italy.
The one in Aitalam.
Beautiful.
You know what? Let's finish up with this because it is beautiful. You're absolutely right. So we'll finish with Seshalam, but we're gonna do Od Lo Ahavti Dai.
הידיים עוד לא בניתי כפר, עוד לא מצאתי מים באמצע המדבר, עוד לא ציירתי פרח, עוד לא גיליתי איך תוביל אותי הדרך ולאן אני הולך. עוד לא אהבתי די, הרוח והשמש על פניי. עוד לא אמרתי די, ואם לא עכשיו ומתי. עוד לא שתלתי דשא, עוד לא הקמתי עיר, עוד לא נתתי כרם על כל גבעות הגיר, עוד לא הכל עשיתי ממש במו ידיי, עוד לא הכל ניסיתי, עוד לא אהבתי די. עוד לא אהבתי די, הרוח והשמש על פניי. עוד לא אמרתי די, ואם לא עכשיו ומתי. עוד לא הקמתי שבט, עוד לא חיברתי שיר, עוד לא ירד לי שלג באמצע הקציר, אני עוד לא כתבתי את זיכרונותיי, עוד לא בניתי לי את בית חלומותיי. עוד לא אהבתי די, הרוח והשמש על פניי. עוד לא אמרתי די, ואם לא עכשיו ומתי. ואף על פי שאת פה ואת כל כך יפה, ממך אני בורח כמו ממגפה, עוד יש הרבה דברים שרציתי לעשות, את בטח תסלחי לי גם בשנה הזאת. תביני יד, עוד לא אהבתי די, הרוח והשמש על פניי. עוד לא
say hey. Okay, we had a request for shalom. Ose shalom. So just 1 second. Huh? לא, זה נורא קרוא את זה. Okay, עושה shalom. Hold on. I didn't have it ready, so I have to put it up. It's only going to take 1 second.
Thank you, Mrs. Moss.
No? אז זה בסידי שם? Oh, okay, wait a minute. לא, אבל בסידי לא רואים את ה... לא רואים את הוידאו. Okay, wait a minute. Don't go anywhere. I have to log in. Almost there, guys. Oseh Shalom is beautiful, and I'm so happy that Danielle suggested that. The pictures there are just beautiful. Oseh Shalom, it's a song for peace. Okay, almost there, almost there. Got it. All right, now I'm going to do share screen. And you'll hear it. It's not one that we're just going to hear the melody. Let me make sure that it's shared. Oseh Shalom. Here we go. Ouch. Okay, here we go. Look how beautiful it is. Okay, here we go. You see it? Deborah, do you see it? Yes. You can clap hands and sing too.
הוא עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. הוא עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל. יעשה שלום, יעשה שלום, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל.
We're so happy that Ori and Emma are here too.
Yes.
So nice to see you. Okay, yeah.
Okay, thank you everyone, and thank you Mrs. Moss for leading the dancing.
Happy birthday, Israel!
I really enjoy dancing, and I hope you did too. And I hope your babka is going to be the best ever. And don't forget, there's a lot more going on for Yom Ha'atzmaut. And join us and come celebrate Israel and our community.
להתראות. להתראות.
להתראות ילדים.
להתראות. Hi, Rui.
Hi,
Harper.
Ori. Hi, Emma.
And Harper is here. Oh, and
Hi,
Ben
thank
Shire.
you,
Did you see your mother?
Great job. Beautiful job.
Do it again. Emma wants to do it again.
Thank you.
I want to do it again.
You want to do it again? What do you want us to do? Which song?
Christmas.
What? Okay, תביא לה את הדגל. Do you want to see the דגל ישראל? הנה.
Yeah.
Mr. Shire is going to show you דגל ישראל. כן, הנה, כן. Look. Here's דגל ישראל. And do you know how old Israel will be? Emma, how old is Israel going to be?
73.
73. כל הכבוד. 73. Okay, להתראות ילדים. See you later. Happy birthday, Israel.
Happy birthday, Israel. יום הולדת שמח.